Okay, so if you're a clinical end user and you're coming into the supply room, you need your supply. These arrows signify to always start from the left side. So we start on the left and pull from the left. So you come in, this par is one on each side. So they would pull the one that's out, they would unclip the arrow clip, put it in the left side bin, and take the card and put it in our Kanban collection bin here. And then they leave it here, they walk out of the room. Let's say they come back and we haven't had our replenishment time yet. They're now into the right side of the bin. They would, if we have not been able to replenish it yet, they'll take the right side as well. And at this point, they'll take the black card and also put it into the bin.
And black means stocked out.
Yep.
Okay.
And then when our staff comes up into the room, we have the collection bin here with the proposal tag on it. So this usually lives on your, par cards. We put it on this bin. They come in, they scan this with the handheld. They take all the cards out, scan it, and then hit 0. There's actually a 0 count right here, so they can just hit this and hit this, hit that, and it'll send an order down to the storeroom. And then they'll go down and pick it and come up here and deliver it. So the advantage is they're not having to go through and check every single SKU like they used to. Now, when you get good tenured distribution techs, they can do a room quickly, and it's been somewhat of a challenge for them to not check the items. They still, I know they always use a bunch of this, so they'll come and check it just to make sure. Or if it's one left on the left side, sometimes they might switch it over, pull the card. It's just, they're trying to save time for the next day.
They have some knowledge of the. So real quickly, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Should we go? So this is similar in some ways to what's going on in Monroe. Difference is they don't use handhelds to come up here. They have the clinical team tube those cards at a certain time of the day downstairs at CD. NCD has the computer handhelds down there, scan them in and generate the replenishment order and pick it. So you don't rely on them to send it to you.
That'd be great. In our perfect world, not all, we don't have a tube system, right, that goes throughout the house. So I think it only flows through a certain part of our southwest wing. So
yeah, and then, so then once they scan them and put them in, they can put them in the products on order bin. So when they go down, they pull the order, they come up and they can match up the product with the card. Now let's say that there's like a stock out or something, they can leave it in this one until it's filled and they can come back up and fill it, depending on the process, if they leave orders open or if they kill them, whichever one they do.
So when they restock, do they put the card back in?
Yeah, so then they'll have to, so let's just take this one for example, because I did take a couple, I think. So yeah, when they don't come up with the product, let's say they're only filling the left side, they're supposed to take the right side, switch it over to the left, and grab the arrow clip that's in the left side, put the new stock in the right side, put the card back, and then put the arrow clip back. That way you've rotated the stock, and you have the signifying cue back. Now, as you can imagine, that gets a little cumbersome when you're doing that for a lot of SKUs.
50 items, yeah.
We're trying to get away from using these, but I can just tell you that it's difficult for people just to comprehend that you're always pulling from the left. For whatever reason, it's hard for them to
But that's a Kanban visual indicator right there.
Yeah.
Pick from the left, reminder.
Exactly, and at some point it would be just something that when you're in this facility that any supply room is going to be in this method, so you're always pulling from the left.
You should put a mouse trap in the bottom of the right
There you go.
side.
Do
That would be
they
nice.
sometimes have trouble finding like 357133 SAP number that it's at that location when they pull it out of here?
Yeah, so that's the good thing about the color is it'll at least get them in the spot, and it'll be a change for them because once the room gets redone, obviously things are in different spots. So that's the advantage of going to a room that's always been set up the same way. They can fly through that stuff and put it away. They know where everything is. It'll just be due time. We'll get back to knowing where everything is in here. But for someone new, I mean, it really does help them in the color scheme so they can find it easily. We also have these signs up here in each room that tell them how to use the system. Gives them visuals on how to pull from the left side, what to do with the cards scenario. Now, the problem is we try to educate as much as we can. I go to the staff meetings before we do it, educate them. You're always going to have new people coming in, or maybe people come into the unit that weren't trained. In our ED, we have things from volunteers, whoever, and it's impossible to catch all those people at this time, so we're trying to work through that process as well. And one other piece is, before Dan left, he challenged me to put direct order items into the setup.
Great.
So if you look around, if you see the green labeled items, that signifies a direct order item, and pink is patient charge. So what happens is, same type of thing, they would actually put it in the bin, our distribution techs would scan it and send the requisition out instead of a reservation, and then they would drop it in the on-order bin and wait till it comes in. So this is where we've seen the struggle, is when it comes in, who puts it away and who puts the cards back, because the distribution techs aren't the ones that receive that stuff, and it goes into the receiving dock team, who drops it off into a central drop spot for deliveries. Then it's on their staff to come in, put it away, and put the cards back, and that's where we've seen the challenge. It's worked in this department, but in others, it has not worked.
So what happens, and the product gets put back in the bin, but its card never catches up, it stays in the product's order.
Yeah, and then you can have someone come in and say, I haven't seen this item, I know it's a direct, they'll drop it back in the on order, we'll order it again and again and again, and then they'll get them all at once. That's what happened in the ED, and we had 10 boxes and we couldn't return some of them.
I see.
So we've actually tried to go away from using that. So what eventually will happen is, obviously they're still gonna need a spot for them in the supply room when you do this, there's nowhere to put direct stuff, so we would just leave a bin like this, and just screen label it like this with no cards, and just communicate to the staff that this is a direct order, you'll need to use SAP to requisition the item. Then they'll have to have someone come through and check those, and they're easily identifiable when they're.
So real quick,
Yeah.
then, the expectation would be someone from this department would generate that replenishment requisition or reservation? Or is it one of the logistics team members that
It would be someone from this department, and that's.
Because it's a direct order product?
Yeah, and that's a whole nother.
Yeah, try to train and
discussion,
keep
but-
people
yeah.
trained and